So I'll call the meeting to order for January for the Waterworks and Lighting Division. And we have one excused commissioner, Jeff Penscover, who is a bit ill at the moment. I would request a motion to approve the minutes or to amend the minutes from the regular commission meeting of December 14.
I would make a, okay, oh, yeah, second that, but with the revision.
Oh.
I'll do that.
You have a
Just-
revision, yeah?
Yeah.
Recommended?
I don't remember Tom being,
That's the 19th meeting. Is that?
December 19th, he was gone, wasn't he? John
Yeah,
was
but
the-
this motion was for the meeting on the 14th.
Yeah.
Oh, this, okay, I thought
Yeah,
both of them.
but the 9th, yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, I'll second
So
that.
14th, yeah, 14th is fine, it's the 19th
Yeah,
that
okay.
needs corrected.
So you have that,
I will, what is the correction for the
This is
19th?
for the next
The 14th
meeting.
is good, correct?
14th is good, yeah, we got a
Okay.
motion and a second on the 14th.
Okay.
so special commission meeting held December 19. Any amendments or motion for approval?
I'll move to approve.
Well, the 19th is the one that needs to be corrected.
Yeah, I'll second that, but then right
Um,
with the correction.
It's put the meeting was opened by Chairperson Tom Nowak.
Okay.
And you were the chairperson. John Bergen was the chairperson.
You've
for the
got it.
meeting. That's the only thing I saw.
Yeah, yeah.
I will make that correction.
So a motion to approve as amended.
So moved.
Seconded.
Action items.
Did you want all in favor?
Yes, all in favor.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
We have no action items today, so department updates, safety committee.
Questions go to Jeff, I suppose, huh?
See what questions there are. Sean Wall is also down at that MEUW meeting down in the Dells.
I see he's working on the written program review, which is an annual thing. And I know there's annual refresher courses during the year. I'm just wondering what's planned for this year that would be different or new
I don't think he has any new trainings planned for
at this
2020.
time. It's kind of early in
No,
the year.
it's more of a review process this year.
To review it, okay. Thank you.
There are no further comments. Line superintendent's report.
So the 5 weather-related incidents, are those branches or just heavy lines or?
Generally, it's tree related, yeah.
Tree related?
Yep.
And do we know if those were in areas that had been cleared or not cleared?
There was almost no outages in areas that had been trimmed. It was
Okay.
little onesie twosies, backyard stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the last couple days, anything from any of this?
There's been one call in the last 20 days, so it's really quiet.
Good.
And that was just last night.
Good.
Yeah.
Were there any issues with the audit? Any inventory issues? I see that you were completing the inventory.
Yeah, not on our side of it. I don't know that the audit's complete, but
Yeah, the material inventory counts were within normal ranges, nothing kind of out of the ordinary to report on
Josh, thank you for that 5-year call-out
Yeah.
comparison.
Yeah,
It's
well done.
beneficial. Thank you.
And it's nice to see that, well, within the last 5 years, the lowest level of failed equipment.
Okay, water department.
Oh, I've got a couple questions
Okay.
here. Do you know if anyone is attending the MEU National Electric Safety Code seminar that's February 23rd?
not that I know
Not that you know. And what about, there's a workshop for troubleshooting your system on February 1st?
of. Not that I know
Not
of.
that you know of. And then, to really put you on the spot, I see there's some utilities that get designated for the smart energy provider. Is there any discussion that that's something we would look into?
Not with me.
That's a relatively new program that APPA's put
Yeah.
out. I think it's just been in the last couple of years that they've done that. I think Todd and engineering, everyone, we've kind of focused on that RP3 for so long.
Correct.
But we'll be looking at that smart utility
And
and see if
that's,
that's something.
that
we
was
wanna
more
go for.
important.
Right.
But it would be nice to look into the smart energy provider designation.
They have that for logistics. I know, we used to work with customers that would specify that transit, smart transit or whatever, so they've got the baffles or whatever to be as energy efficient as possible.
I did see there were a number of WPPI members this year that got the
Right.
the ranking, so.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, the water department operations, and I guess the first item I have is welcome to the new superintendent, Adam. So,
Congratulations.
yeah,
How is it going for you?
Learning process.
Thanks for the 5-year chart on the levels. That's helpful. And it will also be helpful, once in a while we get erroneous data, so it
Yeah.
helps spot that, oops, that's maybe not right.
Mhm.
so your number for this year would be just the month of January?
Yes.
And
Well, it's,
and next month it'll be 2
it's
months?
actually the last, you're
December.
talking about the reading here.
Yep,
It's the last reading in the month of December, which gets recorded.
okay. So, and that'll be true each month?
Yes, every month.
And the preceding numbers will be the corresponding numbers for the preceding years?
Correct.
Okay.
And can anybody comment on the development at 1810 Spencer Street? What is that, what kind of development?
That's just a new construction for Shane Rouge Company.
Is it over the storage system?
No, it's probably most likely a duplex.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Any other items for water? Okay, customer support supervisors report?
300 letters sent for water disconnection. Wow. The postage meter was spinning.
Question about what was the total for the write-offs for the year? We have the drip and,
I don't have that information right now, but I will get that information together and I will get that to you. We write off every month now, we don't write off, biannually like we used to,
right,
so.
but I was just wondering what the total has turned out to be.
Okay, I'll get that number for you.
It's interest versus what we've actually collected, even though they're not on the same timeline.
That's usually shown in the audit at the end of the year, correct?
The net of the two is, but
Yeah.
if you're just looking for the write-offs, and
Oh,
we pull that number,
okay.
so, yeah.
Of your payment approaches, which is the most efficient for waterworks?
Our auto pay, our in-house program that we
Okay.
take care of. We encourage everybody to get on that.
Yeah, there's no interaction at all, right?
Mhm.
I do Smart Hub because then I get miles. for
Right,
it.
right, and that's understandable, right? That's our most cost-effective payment option.
Any other comments? If not, can we move to Director of Finance report? We have this cleaning. Does this imply that the rate of cleaning has increased?
on the water treatment.
Yep.
That was when we had to clean that extra well this year, that was not anticipated, we went through the budget season, so. Yeah, I would say that's gonna help us just in future years, cause that would've been something that probably would've been budgeted in 23 or 24. Unfortunately, we had to do it in 22, when we weren't expecting to, so it'll just help future years.
I'm glad we were able to do it, get it scheduled. Were you able to get this valve replaced at all?
This valve out here, no.
Okay.
The construction ended right at the Peach Street,
Okay.
16th Street.
So
right
that's
away.
something you're looking at this year to do?
There's a valve out on Peach Street here?
Yeah.
Down the road, yes.
Okay.
It's on our plan,
Okay.
5-year plan.
Jeff, you want to do any discussion on what we're expecting in terms of new standards for the audit?
The biggest one is gonna be the lease, GASB 87, I believe it is. Basically moving our leases, both, or with the leasee and the leaseor onto the financial statements and having kind of an asset and corresponding payment pieces on there. A lot of them are gonna fall off. There's some language in there, if you're past the initial term, then they're more of an operating lease and not a capital lease. So you don't need to include those, but we do have a couple that just are within that initial first term, so they'll be on the financial statements. I believe that's the big one for this go round.
But it doesn't amount to a whole lot of money, does it?
It doesn't, I mean, we've treated them as, the revenue coming in every month, and now we'll just have an asset on the books with a corresponding reduction of the payments coming in every year. So we'll just be reducing that over 5 years as opposed to just having revenue every year.
So that ties into depreciation for the equipment, or no?
Not really, no, it's just more of the, if you're gonna get $100,000 a year, you book the asset for $100,000, and then you can essentially amortize
For
that
5
as you
years.
get the payments in.
Okay.
Let it back to our taxes.
That won't impact our taxes, and it's not really anything, the Public Service Commission doesn't want to see that, so it's another one of these adjustments between the GAAP accounting and regulatory accounting.
Public service, okay. 500,000 increase in receivables last year to this year. Any particular reason for that?
Some of it has to do with, we got some of our larger customers on auto pay. So when they would have maybe paid on the 30th or, near the end of the month, now we're picking that up early in the next month. So cash flow wise, it's just a couple day difference, but financial statement wise, we're seeing a big hit on that just because of when that money's coming in.
On the water operating expense chart, can you delineate for me between source of supply expenses and water transmission distribution expenses?
Source of supply primarily is the water coming to the plant.
Right.
And then.
So that spike would have been the cleaning?
That's the cleaning.
Okay.
That's, I believe, 95% of that is cleaning.
And then the transmission part increase?
That's the water going out, so that's gonna be water break fixes, doing the flushing and those kind of things as the crews do. And I believe disconnects and those kind of things happen
Okay.
too.
Thank you.
Pension outflows increased. That just increased overall pensions, or is there something else happening there?
You're looking on the, on the balance sheet, or?
Yeah, balances as of November.
So that's a number that pretty much stays there till the end of the year. That's gonna be adjusted at year end, so that's when we talk at the audit about the pensions with WRS and kind of what the asset is versus the liability. It was an asset in 2022, so that's why it increased quite a bit, because they had some good earnings in 2021, so we're always a year behind on that number. So we'll be adjusting that number as of the end of the year. Otherwise, that number is pretty stagnant throughout the year, just a year-end adjustment. And those numbers are based on June 30th numbers with WRS, so that number will probably be somewhat lower, but I think it'll still be an asset at this point.
Okay. Any other questions for Jeff? If not, Information Systems Administrators Report?
It's kind of like that dial waiting, buffering, buffering, buffering.
Yeah, same type of irritation.
I had a question from some of the year-end notes. Reviewed and recommended new cyber insurance solution after the previous policy became cost prohibitive. What is the status there?
That was a 22 decision that we made. We went from, I forget who our previous company was, we went to the league's cyber insurance policy. And we had to do a little bit of work for that. We had to put in some multi-factor authentication when people are logging in from outside the network, which was a good thing. They're going through and looking for rates again in 2023. Our policy expires February 1st, so they're kind of doing the legwork right now on that policy. But I would assume, notwithstanding a huge increase, we'd stay with the league just because that's who does our liability insurance also.
Any other questions for Beth? Conservation Manager Report?
So where is this Clockworks, where are they based out
They're out of Madison.
of? Okay.
They were developed in 2007, Massachusetts Technology Institute, which is a research university, private. That's where the technology was developed and they're using it. Company, which is called Clockworks, is also known as Data Wrangler.
It sounds like that presentation that we saw for, that they were putting forth for colleges like Midstate in terms of monitoring, see what they could, and they would, different financial scenarios, but basically they'd get a cut of whatever savings, you get out of that.
And that's
Is that kind of like this?
same thing,
Yeah.
yes. It's at no cost, but if they save them X amount, there's a certain percentage in the contract
That they would get.
that Wisconsin Rapids Public Schools would have to pay for the service.
And they're gonna be monitoring that for 2 years, huh?
2 years,
Wow.
correct. Probably gonna be a little bit longer than usual because of the new addition.
Yeah.
A lot of cold air is coming in there, so a lot of the data they're getting may not be true. And I think that'll even out, adding maybe an extra 6 months or a year onto that.
Cold air because of the construction, I'm hoping?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, there's a lot of
Maybe
windows.
you got some
Well,
cracks in the walls or something
Yeah,
left
and then you
over.
have a lot of electrical equipment being added on there, so they don't really have a good baseline. I know it was initially discussed that we would do it after that was complete, but it's been it's kind of moving a little bit longer than anticipated, so.
Thank you for working with them. I'm sure they appreciate your time and feedback and opinions.
Well,
And does this group just work with educational institutions or just?
that's where they
Focus.
focus. And that was brought up in one of our meetings, a discussion of the possibility of me learning more about it, that potentially could be suggested to the larger industrial customers of ours. So we'll see how this goes.
Thank you.
Are we going to be able to accommodate their ocean spray water metering requests? Or don't we know yet?
What we had discussions with Adam on that. I know in the past we have done that. At this point, they are using those meters for their own personal information. So at this point, no, we will not consolidate it and there will be no savings until they're possibly done being wired up to those water meters and they're no longer using them for their own personal information. Then we could do something of that sort. But at this point, no. And we made them aware of that this week.
Okay, so Todd's not here, you're carrying the ball. Oh, electrical engineer? He's not here either?
He's not here either.
So Jeff, you get to answer all these questions?
I can see what I can answer.
Is that an annual inspection, that oil inspection?
Yeah.
Yeah. And is that pretty common,
Yeah.
the gases and the water?
Oh, yeah, yep,
So it's just a degree of how much?
right, yeah, there's a threshold.
Right.
You do that maintenance in-house, we got somebody that comes in and does it.
Yeah, it was Energis, it's a new company name, but we contract with them to do it.
Is that something you could do in-house, or?
No, not without buying a bunch of equipment. It's all vacuum pumps.
Okay.
It's good that it's being done. Okay, Director of Engineering? I assume that we were under budget, we also got everything accomplished?
I think some of the things waiting on parts, I don't know what they did with some of the PLC upgrades that they wanted to do. I don't think those projects happened, but.
Yeah, they did.
But the main projects that we had on electric and water, I think stayed within budget or.
Because the PLC upgrade was very small compared to the rest of the
Total
budget.
overall. Yeah, so I think there were some projects that just didn't happen, but the ones that did, I believe, were under budget.
On the Coin substation, is there any potential for, I don't know what the contract or guarantee would be to get some compensation for the changes that had to be made because of their bad design? Or not worth pursuing?
I know Krause was working with them, but I mean, materials wise, it was $1,000 or something, or
Okay,
it
okay.
wasn't a large
Okay.
expense.
Any other questions?
Oh, yeah, so, yeah, the thing on the security camera, so have we learned any more about any of the attacks on substations or any recommendations coming from any national bodies in terms of beefing up, whatever?
There hasn't been any guidance other than more patrolling. So, I mean, we do have Tyler, the electrical engineer, he actually goes out once a week on a Friday and walks the substations to make sure the fence hasn't been cuts, things like that. So we did put that up.
Sounds
this
like
year.
they're using high-powered rifles from along,
But
There is a lot of that.
at least one, they busted down the gate.
They did, they ran right through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it looked like they had security cameras, I don't know if they
And
caught.
we do have security cameras at each
Yeah.
substation, so.
And I think either I think NERC is coming out with some.
Yeah, they have, yeah,
stuff
but
this-
they're
in 23, they're gonna come out with some recommendations.
working on some stuff.
Okay, good, thank you.
But I don't think it's gonna be anything outside of what we're already doing.
Doing, okay. Landmines or, you know.
Yeah, yeah, stuff like that.
anything else? If not, the general manager's report. I guess I had a question there, do we see any impact for us on this ACES contract?
As far as overall costs, or,
Yeah,
I think in talking to Jim, I think it's gonna be slightly higher, but not like a large amount that's gonna make a huge difference to power supply costs, so. I think having that expertise and kind of that backup and redundancy of people within that organization, it's probably worth it, so.
Just want to echo Jim's point there, of a thank you for a great year
Yep,
to everybody.
excellent. Accounts payable,
So that third line of that first page, labor and materials to City of Wisconsin Rapids, and then it has a subnote August, from August, how does that, it comes in that late, or?
It can, I mean, it just depends on when they get their billings to us, and, they were a little behind, I think, like the city finance director was out for a bit of time, so I think it's just when they get to them, but again, it's kind of one of those things, as long as we get it by the end of the year, so we can incorporate those costs in the year that they need to be in and capitalize if need be.
there's a line item, substation assistance, what is that?
Electric power systems, that's the oil at West Sub.
Oh, that's what
That's
it
the
is.
company that Energis became, EPS.
Okay. And then, a line item, non-residential inspections.
That would be the cross-connection program that Hydroport does. So we do the residential program in-house, but the non-residential, just because of the complexities with what's going on in commercial, industrial setups, we just leave that to Hydroport.
So you contract.
We do.
The Wood County Highway Department for asphalt paving?
That was primarily for the raw water line.
Yeah, there's multiple ones. They did the 17th Avenue repair over by the highway department, in Rosecrans, and then they also did a portion of the raw water paving, also down here by that.
It's a good resource to go to.
It's nice
I'm
having
trying to
their
coordinate
open
it that
now.
late in the fall.
Yep.
And I had one from the summary notes that we get, made necessary changes for non-compliance to the well inspection program while inspecting 140 private wells. What was the non-compliance?
The biggest issue we had is people just ignoring the letters. And we had a handful, we didn't have a lot of them, but we ended up having a non-compliance fee added to our fee schedule. So if you don't have your well inspected, you don't respond to any of the letters, there's a $200 a month fee added to your water bill until you come in compliance. Now, we don't charge that during the winter when we can't inspect it, so we charge it first in October.
I think so, and we'll start again in probably May,
Yeah.
depending on the weather.
We had a couple people that chose to go that route.
Any other
Yeah.
items on charges?
Jackson Street lighting, $100,000, $110,000 for that. So how many light poles, I'm assuming that's the light poles. How many light poles does $100,000 buy?
I believe it's 28.
And I think that was half of it. I think we had 2 payments so far
Okay.
on that, so I think
Okay.
that whole project was north of 200,000.
Does that include the part of West Grand that is relit too?
That is Jackson up to West Grand, up to the round, or up to the four-way stop there.
Yeah, them decorative poles are about $6,000-7,000 a piece.
Wow. So if somebody runs into one, what happens?
They get billed for the whole thing.
You see the parking lot was full, contractors doing that installation.
Yeah, that's Merkel Brothers.
Yeah, it looks like they got most of them up and all.
Yeah, I believe they're all up because they brought back the ones they borrowed from us yesterday. So.
Yeah. Looks good. If there are no other items, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second?
Those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed?
Thank you.